Hello and welcome back to another video. I have a microphone, so I'm testing this out in this video. I'm going to be giving you, I'm going to be giving you guys a bookshelf tour since it's been, I think, like 5 months plus since I last did a reorganizing my bookshelf or bookshelf tour. I just want to do a tour. I'm not going to be reorganizing my bookshelf. And if you can't see the books crazy well, there will be a video of each shelf inputted when I talk about that shelf so you can see them a bit more close up. And I guess I could try and bring you a bit closer. If that helps. That might help. That'll help. So yeah, let's just dive right into this bookshelf tour. So starting here, this is my romance shelf. We have Jenny Han, we have The Sun Turned Pretty, and To All the Boys I Loved Before. We also have The Same Backward as Forward by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is a romance. It's written as a romance. There's no mystery to it. It is a romance, okay? And then we have over here Grumpy Darling by Alexandra Moody. Rival Darling is over here on my winter TBR, so it will be returned with its counterpart once I read it. And then we have my Lynn Painter books. We have Better Than the Movies, Betting on You, and The Do-Over. So far my favorite's The Do-Over. I haven't read Betting on You yet. Then we have 2 Sarah Adams books, The Cheat Sheet and The Rule Book. I have read The Cheat Sheet. I found it very interesting. And then we have 3 books I haven't read yet, 2 by Denise Hunter. One I'm actually super excited to pick up, probably closer to like summer or spring, is The Love Unscripted, which this is about a female author who writes a book and is praised for the male main character she writes, of like the perfect boyfriend that she wrote. And her book gets picked up to be a movie, I think is what it is. And the guy who gets cast as her male main character's like lead is a guy with a really like, he's a bad boy reputation, and I think it's like forced proximity. I think they have to, they're filming in Cleo's hometown, which I think is what she based her book off of. So yeah, I also think that this might be part of a series because they have like 2 here at the bottom, but I'm really excited to read this at some point. And I'm gonna try and put this book back. Hopefully the audio wasn't weird for that. I put the microphone right next to it. And then we have With This Ring by Amy Clifton, and the other Denise Hunter book. I haven't read any of those yet. They're very summery to me, so it's kind of the winter time, so I don't feel like reading summery romances. And then we have A British Girl's Guide to Hurricanes and Heartbreak. I actually bought this at a used bookstore, so it's weirdly an arc of that book. So I don't know if the actual publication of it is different from what I read, but it was good. Love triangle. I was rooting for the wrong guy, but you know, unpredictable ending to a love triangle. And then we have Float, which was recommended to me by, I don't actually think you can see it, but yeah. We have Float, which was recommended to me by Lillian Kay, fellow booktuber. Go check her out, she's awesome. And I was a little hesitant going into that book. I'll grab it because you can't really see it. Going into this book because I didn't know if I was gonna like it or not. She said it was good, and like I trust her opinion. And then I picked it up and fell in love with it, and I trust her opinion even more now. Any book she recommends to me, I will 100% read because of how incredible Float was. And then moving on to my dystopian shelf, well, dystopian / sci-fi shelf, mainly sci-fi. We have my 3 Star Wars books, Dark Disciple, Padawan, and Master and Apprentice. My favorite one is Master and Apprentice. 10 out of 10 recommend them if you're a Star Wars fan. And then we have James Dashner's Mortality Doctrine trilogy. James Dashner is the guy who wrote the Maze Runner trilogy. This one's a bit more sci-fi, less dystopian, as it deals with virtual reality, video game-esque thing, and a evil AI. It's actually quite interesting. I've read the first 2. I haven't quite read the 3rd one yet. I soft DNF'd it because I wasn't in a super sci-fi mood at the time. And then weirdly enough, I put Ready Player One right next to them because I feel like they have similar genres, except I feel like Ready Player One is a lot more of a video game heavy than, this is more sci-fi, this is a lot more video game heavy. which, hey, if you grew up in like the 80s or 90s or early 2000s and was obsessed with video games at that time, this is the perfect book for you. I didn't. I'm a little younger than that, but there's a lot of niche, not super niche, but a lot of cool and interesting video games or just like references to that time period. And it was really interesting. A lot of pop culture references. So if you're a fan of that stuff, 10 out of 10 recommend Ready Player One. And then we have Out of the Silent Planet. I'm pulling it out because I'm going to talk about it for a little bit. Out of the Silent Planet is written by C.S. Lewis, who, if you've heard of that name before, you probably heard about it in correlation to the Chronicles of Narnia. He wrote that series. The Out of the Silent Planet is the first book in his space trilogy. So apparently there was, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure I got this right. There was a bet between C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, who they were friends, where one of them, Tolkien, had to write a time travel series or trilogy or something like that, time travel book, and C.S. Lewis had to write a sci-fi book. C.S. Lewis wrote the space trilogy, and Tolkien wrote a time travel based in Middle Earth, which I think the space trilogy did better than that one because this has nothing to do with the Narnia world. It's a whole new world, which I haven't read this yet, but I'm super excited because I do love C.S. Lewis. Duh, Narnia. Ow. Just bumped my hand. But yeah, and then we have the first book in the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. I'm currently reading the second one, so that's why there's a weird gap here. I loved this book. This book was great. I think I gave it 4 stars. Wonderful writing. Brandon Sanderson's world building is what I aspire to do in my own books. It's so intricate and well thought out. I also just love our main character and her relationship with all the other side characters. The side characters very much stand out in this book. So if you're a huge fan of side characters or just a huge fan of sci-fi with kind of like a little bit of a fantasy element to it, I would 10 out of 10 recommend Skyward. And then we have the Renegades trilogy by Marissa Meyer. I will start by saying here, there are videos for quite a few of these books. I don't think I'll be able to link them all down below because, again, I'm giving a tour of my whole bookshelf. That'll probably be majority of the videos on my channel. But if you have any, like, you see a specific book that you want to hear more about, I know I have videos. Sorry, my ring's making a lot of noise. Videos specifically for all 3 of these, and honestly just comment down below what books you're interested in seeing more about, and I will let you know what that video is that I read, whatever book in that video. So the Renegades trilogy is, I feel like it's sci-fi. It's about superheroes and supervillains. It's very interesting. If you're a comic book fan or like a Marvel or DC fan, I feel like you'd enjoy it. I enjoyed it being a Marvel fan. Don't at me, DC people. I do watch DC. I just grew up on Marvel and not DC. So, and then we move on to my dystopians, which I only have 2 physically, which is sad. I'm wanting to get more into dystopian books. We have obviously the most iconic dystopian of all time, The Hunger Games. I feel like that's self-explanatory. I own all of the books. Yes, do I own Sunrise on the Reaping as a hardback because I was too impatient to wait for it to be a paperback? Yes. And then do I own a really cool Costco version of Songbirds and Snakes? Yes, because it looks a lot cooler than the green one. I'm actually thrilled about that cover. I've read all of these. I recently did a reread of The Hunger Games. You can find that pretty easily on my channel. The first book has its own video. The second and third book have their own video. So I have a Sunrise on the Reaping video. I don't think I have a video of me reading Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, though. So, and then we move over here to, weirdly, my classics shelf. I know, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. My shelf looks kind of wonky at times. But so my classic shelf, I'm very proud of this shelf, as anyone who reads classics would be. So we have Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities. I read that at the beginning of last year. I will be honest, I had to read it for school. Didn't like it that much. But then we have 2 volumes of Sherlock Holmes, which I am a Sherlock Holmes fan. I love a good Sherlock Holmes mystery. And then we have my favorite classic of all time, which I don't know if this says anything about me, but The Phantom of the Opera. I don't know why this is my favorite classic. It was probably just because it was like the easiest one for me to read as a kid. It's not as super confusing. It has some French words in it, but I had read quite a few books that integrated French into the lingo of it. around the time that I picked this up. So you can tell it's kind of well-loved a little bit. But yeah, this is my favorite classic. If that says something about me, I don't know. I'm going to put that back. And then if this also says something about me, I bought Tales from Shakespeare. So Shakespeare's most famous plays are a compilation of Shakespeare's plays written in the format of books. So instead of reading it in the play format that you normally would read it in, this is written in the format of a book, so it's easier to read because I love Shakespeare. Yeah. And then we have The Secret Garden. That's a very cute book. We have Anne of Green Gables. Duh. We have Pride and Prejudice. Read that when I was 12. Don't recommend reading it when you're 12. Maybe wait until you're in high school. Then we have Where the Red Fern Grows. This is probably the saddest book that is on the shelf that I know of. It's quite heart-wrenching, especially if you're a dog lover like myself. And then we have The Odyssey by Homer. I want to read this before the movie comes out this year because I'm really interested. Thanks to Percy Jackson. Really got me interested in reading Greek mythology books. And then we have Gulliver's Travels, which is like a really cool old looking copy of that. Now, back on to... Oh, also, this thing, you're probably wondering what it is, unless you can read it. Books I read this year. So this is how I read 4 books so far this year. It's a really cool sign. I get to replace it. It's amazing. I love it. It was a Christmas gift. Okay, so now we have the rest of my dystopians, which is my favorite dystopian, The Maze Runner. I've read all of these books. They're so good. I 10 out of 10 recommend. If you're specifically a boy wanting to read a dystopian, but you're not really feeling the Hunger Games, I recommend The Maze Runner since it's a male main character instead of a female one. And honestly, I find Thomas less annoying at times than I do Katniss. So there's that. And then I have another Suzanne Collins book, which this is the start of my low fantasy, which low fantasy basically means it takes place in our world with fantasy elements encroaching in on it. So we have Gregor the Overlander. Have not read that yet. Neither have I read Keeper of the Lost Cities, but I definitely do want to pick it up. Strange Worlds Travel Agency is an incredible book. Severely underrated. 10 out of 10 recommend, especially for like kids in middle school. It's about this girl who stumbles into the secret Strange World Society where they can travel to other worlds through suitcases. And there's something going on like with the magic, and she tries to figure out. I think there's going to be a sequel at some point, but I don't know. I think this is also the author's debut novel, and it's really good. So 10 out of 10 recommend that. Underrated book. Then we have Emily Watt's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I definitely want to buy the rest of them. Whoop, wrong book. This was really good, and yes, it is a low fantasy, even though because it takes place like north of Ireland or something, and she's a normal human just in the world of fairies. So, or fays, either way you want to say it. And then my favorite book of 2025, The Six Olympians by Maria Alcoran. I've probably talked about this book in so many of my most recent videos. It is a retelling of the Greek myths where instead of Kronos swallowing his children, he decides to banish them to Earth where they are told that they're crazy because they all still think that they're gods. Like, obviously not real gods, but you know what I mean. And they're told that they're crazy, you guys are just children, you're playing pretend. So the book follows up with them when they're around 16, 17 years old in this orphanage. And they all kind of started avoiding each other, but they really wanted to figure out what these memories were. And it turns out that they're Greek gods and goddesses. And they have to defeat their father. And the ending of that book was insane. The cliffhanger was crazy. And then we have, obviously, the one, the only Percy Jackson series. These are very well loved. They did belong to my brother, which is why they're very well loved. I keep them now because he's become more of an audiobook reader. Fun fact. And then, so, I mean, it's Percy Jackson. I feel like that doesn't really need a lot of explaining. Yes, I do have a pen on my bookshelf. You never know when you need a pen. This jar here, I don't know if I've explained what this is because it's been in probably quite a few videos. There's 4 beads in here, which means I can buy 4 books. So every 3 new books I read, I put a bead in the jar, and that's how many books I can buy. It's kind of like putting myself on a book buying ban, but like not for a long period of time. And then over here, which this stuff may end up sliding when I create my spring TBR, but this is the residue. The tail end of my winter/fall TBR. We have The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. And we also have Rival Darling by Alexandra Moody, which is a clean hockey romance, same as Grumpy Darling that I said earlier. These are good. I will definitely be reading these in some future video. Now, I'm going to have to shrink you so we can get to the lower shelves. I'll be back. Okay, so I actually have 2 more shelves underneath these ones, so I may have to shrink you guys even more. So we just finished Winter Tea Bear, so let's come over here. These are the rest of my Rick Riordan books. We have the Senior Year Adventures, these 2 books. We have The Trials of Apollo, and we have Magnus Chase, which you can't see very well. This bookshelf's kind of annoying. You can't see it super well. There's the 3rd book that I haven't read yet. And then we have the Kane Chronicles. I am missing the 1st book because I lent it out to a friend. And then we have the Cruel Prince trilogy, plus How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories. And then we have all my Harry Potter books. We have the 7 main books. We have the Play of the Cursed Child script, and then we have my 2 illustrated versions of the 1st and 2nd book. Those are sick. I cannot wait to share those with my children one day when I have kids. And then we'll come back over to the black shelf. This is the start of my high fantasy books. So we have A School for Good and Evil, Wings of Starlight, all my Stephanie Garber books. We have the Dance of Thieves duology by Mary Pearson. We have Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts. We have the Isles of Meandra. I don't know if I'm going to say that correctly, by Kathleen Bird. Here's the 1st book. I did have this in a video once. She does, the series is a bunch of fairy tale retellings. And I'm on the 2nd one of that. So, I have the first 3. It's an ongoing series. And then we have, I put kind of my fairy tale retellings all next to each other. We have the Twisted Tales series by Liz Braswell. This is a series of standalones. They don't all connect with each other, but it's still really, really good. And I've read my favorite one so far is the Beauty and the Beast retelling, because I love Beauty and the Beast. So, and then we have To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. This is a Little Mermaid retelling. And then we have The Hobbit, which I love The Hobbit. It's a great, great classic, and wonderful story. And then we have The Giver and Gathering Blue by Lewis Lowery. These are the first 2 books in this series by her. I want to own the latter 2. I really love both of these books, though. They're great. And then we have, I'm going to come up here, we have the Wingfeather Saga by Andrew Peterson, right up here on top of my Grishaverse books, which is really funny. I've read all 3 of those in the beginning of last year, and they are in my series I completed in 2025 video. So if you want to hear me talk about those, that's in that video. They're really great, recommend for really anyone of any age, but probably more specifically middle schoolers. And then we have my Grishaverse. I've read the first 2 books in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I'm on the 3rd one, and then I'll read Six of Prose duology. Awesome. And then I gotta turn you guys just a scooch so you're able to see my Chronicles of Narnia. Okay, now you guys gotta get shorter again because there's 2 more shelves down here. So, be back in a jiff. Okay, this angle's really low, but that's because my bookshelves go all the way down to the floor. So, over here is my literary fiction to Christian fiction / historical fiction. Most of my Christian fiction is historical fiction, as that's kind of how Christian fiction works sometimes. So we have If We Were Villains, my first ever literary fiction book that I didn't know was a literary fiction book when I picked it up, and it actually explains why that reading experience was the way it was. We have quite a few other, I guess, 3 of these right here are actually based on true stories. We have The Babysitter's Club. We have The Heiress of Winterwood series, which I don't think that's what that's actually called, by Sarah E. Ladd. This is a Christian romance historical fiction series. We have Goodnight, Mr. Tom, which is based in World War II, historical fiction. We have Before the King, which is a take on the story of Joanna from the Bible. Also historical fiction. Well, yeah, I mean, it's based on a real person, but still kind of fiction, because most of that's speculation. Haven't read it yet. And we have A Sister's War by Molly Green, which is weirdly the 3rd book in a series. I got it from a family member. That's why it's the third book, because they didn't know it was a series. Also takes place during World War II in England. Both of these take place during World War II in England. And then we have all my Patricia St. John books, which are Christian fiction. Historical, I guess, a little bit in some cases, but mainly heavy on the Christian fiction. And then we come over here. We have The Inheritance Cycle, which I just read Eragon in a previous video. We have Eragon, Eldest, Brizinger, Inheritance, and then obviously there would be Murtagh. I do not own that one yet. And then we have Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. I cannot wait to pick up that book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm excited. And then we have the Ascendant series by Jennifer A. Nielsen. I've read the first 2 books in this series and haven't read the latter 3. Super excited. Then we have my mysteries. So everything past this vase here are all mysteries. So we have Truly Devious, Elizabeth Gale, The Famous Five, The Circus of Adventure, Maddie in the Secret Tunnel. Some of these are pretty old books. We have A Rip Through Time, and we have the 39 Clues series. Now, what I also have are all my Christian nonfiction here on this. Well, not all. There's like a couple up there on the top of my shelves, but we have quite a few. This is a Bible, but big stack. Quite a few just studies. Jesus Freaks is a really good book. That one's not really a study, I guess. It's more so it's about all the martyrs that died for the faith. So it's kind of a heavy book. But yeah, that's this stack of books that you'll probably see in videos on this thing. Those are all my Christian nonfiction. So then, yeah, that's my entire bookshelf. I hope you enjoyed getting to see all those, and I feel like I've added quite a few books to my bookshelf since this last video. I mean, it literally covers, 2 whole bookshelves in a stack. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and comment down below if there are any books specifically on this list that you would like more information, not on this list, on my shelves that you want more information about. And if I have a video of me reading it, I will send you the link for that, or reply with a link for that, or I'll just give you kind of my thoughts on them and I'll reply to your comment. But yeah, see you guys in the next video. Bye!